in the militaristic attitude that big companies have at work. Oops, all right, maybe that's better. We have this feeling that if we give freedom to our employees, they'll take advantage of us. We really do. We have this thought that we say, if we're going to treat them like adults, they'll screw us. Yeah, I know it's really hot. This guy's fanning himself. Maybe you could fan me. And I don't think it's the case. I think that's a fallacy. I think if we actually start treating our colleagues and employees like adults, they'll act like adults. And here's an example, right? So at my company, I say, come in when you want. Leave when you want. No hours. I've done this for 9 years now. The first thought every management's going to have, because they have control now, and this illusion of control is, oh, they're going to come in as late as possible and leave as early as possible, and then try to get the highest salary as possible, right? Sure. There's an old adage, though, that you can't really trust somebody until you actually do it. Like, give it to them. So in 9 years, nobody's taken advantage of the system. People in my company come in when they want and leave when they want. I don't set hours. I've never had an unhappy customer, ever. People actually then, when they have this responsibility, kind of say, gee, I'm trusted. I don't want to screw that trust. I'm an adult, so if I treat people like adults, they act, surprisingly, like adults. For example, I say things like, you know what, you have as much information as you need. Salaries. We talk about salaries fairly openly. Competitive salaries. I know what my competitors are making. People over at VMware, at SAP, I'm in software. So people over at VMware, SAP, Musala, whatever my competitive software companies are. So if you give my employees information, like, okay, these are the salaries other companies are paying. These are the salary ranges for juniors, seniors, mid-level developers. This is what we're hiring for. This is our company profit. These are the rates we charge. They have the information to understand what their salary should or shouldn't be. They have the information to understand where we want to hire and what kind of range we can afford to hire. If we make a lot of profit, they understand, well, this year we made a lot of profit. I can afford to say, hey, I want a raise. It sounds a little bit different, but when you actually have transparency and openness and you treat people in your company as adults, they act like adults. And when they act like adults, they take more personal ownership and responsibility. Why do I care to have a headquarters and have somebody take an hour and a half of Zadrusvane or mass transit to get there exactly at 9? No, seriously. If they could leave at 10 and traffic only takes 20 minutes instead of an hour down Boulevard Bulgaria or Simeon Rochesay or whatever, shouldn't they just come in at 10 and spend 20 minutes and stay till whenever they need to stay? What honestly do I fucking care? And I don't care if it's in software or services or manufacturing or line management. It doesn't matter. The old concept that we have is because we're stuck in internal combustion engines, an old way of airline management, an old way of university teaching, an old way of loom production and textile production and software production, because we're idiots. We can't think outside of the box, and we're afraid of loss of control. It's idiotic, it's 300 years old, and it's failing. And in your lifetime, and in your careers, not just your lifetime, that will change. I swear to God it's going to change. And I want you guys to leapfrog that change and start thinking about these concepts and saying, well, it's stupid. Because by doing that, let me ask you a question. How many people, if you're in a 9-to-5 job where your bathroom breaks are controlled, whether you can leave or not, the office is controlled, personal phone calls might be controlled, your internet use is controlled, or whatever, when you have a lot of control over it, how many of you are not just enjoying your work, but thoroughly happy? when you have this much control over you? Okay, maybe a few people, and there's a couple, who need this control to like somehow function. There's a few, fine. This is like the old story of Atlantis. There was free will until one person decided they didn't want free will and somebody else should make decisions for them, and that's when like Atlantis collapsed. Yeah, there's some people that can't handle responsibility. Fine. Those people shouldn't work with us. They should work at the shitty companies in HP. No, I'm serious. But how much more innovation, motivation are you going to get when in an environment, when these 9 companies that are up here are cultivating an environment where it isn't just fun, it's about happiness and encouraging people to flourish with their own ideas. And you can say that this only works for small companies, but I think that's bullshit as well. I've seen it work in companies as big as 5,000. It's not just small companies. When you have small groups, 10 people, 15 people, 8 people, whatever it is, and you have this culture of trust, of openness, of transparency, of freedom, they're more motivated, they actually feel personal responsibility, and they work harder and they innovate more. And when they innovate more, we're going to become more successful as a company. We really are. It's absolutely paradoxical. Like, we can think of it even in a university. I don't know, how many people here are still in university? Because I teach here. Just not so many. That's cool. Fine. But I mean, shame on us. Like, we have this old paradigm with what? State exams, where you have to pass all these stupid whatever it is. The classes are exactly at these times, whatever it is. You know, the same thing in the gymnasiums or in little kindergartens. Well, wouldn't it be better if we did something like go to class when you want? This is the range of classes. The classes start from 9 to 5. These are the different topics. Come when you can, don't come when you can. You know, if it takes 2 years for your master's, normally in the old style, it can take 3 years because you need to come longer. You're going to come when it's interesting. You're not going to come when you don't have time. But when you do come, you're excited to be there. Learning happens not just when there's a set time, but when A, the topic is interesting, but B, when the professor is passionate about their topic. So it's the same thing at work. If I'm passionate about my idea, and I want you to be interested, I can't control you. I can't force you. I can't say this is your set parameter. I can't push these guidelines on you. That kills creativity. Does that make any sense? It's like education itself has to change. We have to be more open. We have to say, come when you want to come. Let's change our curriculum. If you want to learn about pi, maybe we talk about creating a bicycle and it's 3.1416 for the wheel and all this other stuff. I don't know, like when we're kids. But we can't do that because professors are stuck being professors because that's what they've done for 60 years. Oil people are stuck drilling oil because that's what they've done for 60 years. Car people, in 1963, Daimler-Benz created an electric car that would go 87 kilometers. And it died. In the 70s, Renault did, and Honda did. And it's taken 40 years to actually become a reality. And somebody from outside the industry, like Tesla, had to innovate. We can't innovate from within because we're stuck. And we're stuck, why? I don't know, because we can't play, we can't be free, because we think this old military bullshit paradigm works. And it doesn't. And we're stuck in society, we're stuck in education, we're stuck in business, and we think it works. It might work for IBM because they can't do anything else. It might work for HP because they can't do anything because they're so stupid anymore. But it doesn't work for startups, it doesn't work for growing society, it doesn't work for improving in education. We can't improve if we're using these old 300-year-old stupid paradigms. And this is what the Play Manifesto was about, and this is what you guys as entrepreneurs have to understand, that in Bulgaria, we're behind, yes. But we can leapfrog, because we're not the only country stuck in these stupid paradigms. Almost every country is stuck. We might be more stuck, but you know, just like China skipped landlines and said, well, we don't want fixed lines anymore. Everybody goes mobile, so we're not even going to invest in lines, we're just going to invest in mobile. And China leapfrogs the rest of the world in mobile infrastructure. We can do the same thing in business and in education infrastructures if we just stop thinking like idiots. And it's hard to do. Once again, just like in the school, I was outside my house the other day. There was a big sand pit. My 2 kids were in the sand playing. What did somebody say? This little Lelka from outside of a window of a house, no kitty, stuck her little head out and started yelling at my kids, don't play in the sand because it's dirty. And so finally, I'm reading my book, I'm watching my kids play. I go to her and I'm like, dude, stop yelling at my kids. These are my kids, they're not your kids. They want to play in the stand, they've got little boggers and trucks, they're having fun. And she's like, no, it's dirty. And I'm like, I don't care. Let them be dirty. Let them play, they're having fun. They're learning about boggers and diggers and sand and dookies and whatever, and there's a little water. And she's like, no, it's dirty. So finally, I called her names. I was like, you little vestichka mamorka babajana, like, go away, stick away. I mean, it was like the worst swear words I could think of in Bulgarian. And I had to yell at her to say, go away, stop yelling at my kids, because she's stuck in this paradigm that this is bad. It's dirty. Oh, God. Like, dirt's going to kill them. For 4 million years, hominids have been around with dirt. Yeah. But it's the same thing with business. Like, oh, you've got to show up at 9. You have to. You can't use your phone. You have to ask me for a bathroom break. I'm sorry, bitch, but you got to ask me for a bathroom break. No bathrooms. Don't come to work on your non-work hours. Don't let friends come visit you at work. Don't talk. I mean, what the hell is that? It's just idiotic, guys. And so this is what Play Manifesto is about. In our personal, in our education, you're walking down the street. I know you guys probably at home in the bathrooms are singing somewhere. You're doing something goofy and crazy. But when you're on the street, when you're walking down and other people can see you, no, that would be bad. Somebody might think you're goofy or silly. I've been yelled at all the time for being goofy or silly and having fun on the street. Oh, I'm not serious. Or I've got a little dookie in my pants. Or my shoes have got dirt on them. Or whatever. I can't be serious. We have a society, and it's not just Bulgaria, we have a society in personal, in work, in education that is full of these stupid old paradigms. We don't question them. We conform to them because it's hard to break out. It's so much easier to conform to them. And if we keep doing that, we're screwed. That was what my whole point was, and what you entrepreneurs, I hope, are doing, are breaking out of that and saying we can leapfrog that. We're not going to fall into that trap. I don't know. That was kind of my... How long has this been? I don't know when I started. But that was sort of my goal here to tell the 9 entrepreneurs, is that this pisses me off. No, I'm laughing. Maybe I had other stuff. Let me just check my notes. Global structures, freedom, democracy. Oh, yeah. And here's another thing. Why the hell do we accept this when in our internal lives, in our personal lives, what do we want? Freedom, right? We want to be free. We want democracy, maybe. This illusion of liberty and democracy and freedom in our personal lives, right? We're a democracy now. You know, the Berlin Wall fell. There's no more communism. Blah, blah, blah. Yet 60% of our lives are at work and we accept an autocratic military dictatorship. Why? Why is it we don't embrace democracy at work? What are we afraid of? Seriously, there's no democracy at work. How many of you vote on your salary? How many here vote on your salary? Vote on your salary. What should my salary be? What, impossible? People at my company know their salaries. People at Semco, one of the largest and most successful Brazilian companies, vote on their salaries. Why can't we have democracy at work? This is kind of my point, because we are afraid to treat people like adults and to give them information and openness and transparency. How many people vote on their management? Who their manager should be? Shouldn't we? It's like a stupid game. It's like internet dating. It's like this. Ready? It's like we're on the internet. I say, oh, I look like Brad Pitt. And she says, oh, I look like Angelina Jolie. And then we're going to meet at a coffee shop, right? So what happens? I want to hire a CFO. They go, oh, yeah. I've been a CFO and I can do balance sheets. And I graduated Harvard and MIT Sloan Management or whatever. And blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, yeah, we're the best company. We're the most innovative. We're the coolest. And we show up. And we have, what, 1, maybe 2 interviews, 2 meetings for 2 hours, and then we're like, yeah, let's get married. But they neglect to hide that, they got fired from one job, they have a 6-month gap in their resume. I neglect to say that, oh yeah, I had bad times and fired some people, and our strategy sucked for a while, and blah, blah. So we hide all this crap, just like on internet dating, and all of a sudden we expect to, marry this person. How many people here literally get to vote on who your manager should be? And shouldn't you? Shouldn't you be kind of like saying, well, gosh, if there's a new manager, everybody that's going to have to work with this guy should vote on that. We should be able to interview this prospective management. Shouldn't we? Yeah. Because heaven forbid some idiot from Harvard Business School comes who's supposedly a good manager because they have their MBA and say, oh yeah, I'm a good manager. I'm sorry for everybody else under him because he's not. Management is a mix of craft, art, and skill. MBAs teach skill and that's it, analytic skill. Craft comes from actual experience in the industry of working. Art, what do we teach? We don't teach the art of management. We say, oh, read some case studies, or let's wheel in a few business people. No. How many people literally here can vote on their management? How many people can vote on their salaries? How many people can vote on their working times? How many people can vote on which project they want to work on? None. Because we don't treat people like adults. The whole system has to be re-questioned, and it bothers me. Deeply, obviously. Anyway, so yeah, that was one of my little notes here. That was under, how do we break out of our mold? Anxiety, I don't know. Treating people like children. Do you guys have questions? I don't know, how long has this been? Does anybody know? How long do we have? This guy's got it. I was thinking it was going to be like 30 people of entrepreneurs and we could do Q&A. And it turns out not to be. It's like 200 people. But maybe we can do Q&A anyway, and it might be fun. Do you think? I don't know. This guy had a question. Can we give him a... Anyway, this is the general thought, though. It's like we need to treat people like adults. We need to democratize work.
You seem to be holding up voting as a fantastic way of finding the right sort of leaders, and I'm wondering if you've ever thought that the politicians you ended up with sort of enforce that theory. The only other time you vote and find that you're picking a leader who's going to make decisions for you in the same sort of management perspective is when you vote for a politician. I'm wondering who was the last politician you voted for when you thought you got that voting for them gave you the right person, and the sort of person who went up to be voted for was the right person to get.
This guy's asking about voting, and that we vote in politics and hope to get an elected leader that's going to do what we want. And he's asking when the last time I voted was. And gosh, the last time I voted was a long time ago. It was, I think I voted for Al Gore, and he lost against Bush. So I'm not sure how relevant that is. But I see what you mean. And the point is, I envision that if we were to have a company here and vote, here's how it should work. Anybody who works and who's interested in that position, so we're going to hire a CFO or a project manager for your project. Anybody who's interested should come to that interview. So there should be 10, 20, 30 of you or whatever at that interview. And what should happen is all the candidates should be there. 2, 3, 4 candidates, whatever the short list of candidates is, they should be there. And you guys should ask questions to them. And you should say, hey, what about this or this or this? What would you do in this situation? And you should have a secret ballot. And you should vote for the top 1 or 2. And you should give that to whoever is organizing the interview. And whoever has the most votes of those 4 or 5 candidates gets the job. Or, even better, this is how it should work, if there's 1 or 2 final selections, say we get down to 2, the 2 people with the most votes, tell those people, hey, rather than just have 2 meetings, come to our company, spend a day, talk to whoever it is you want to in the company, walk around, ask whatever questions you want. Spend a little time getting to know us because we're going to get married. We are, right? It's not just... This is 60% of your life, guys. This is your fucking work. This is 60% of your life. We're going to get married. This is a relationship. So basically, you guys should have an input on it. You should get to know this person, and then finally, everybody should vote on the final candidate. This is how it should work in my mind, like idealistically speaking. And why can't it? Why is that so idealistic? Why is that so crazy? Because IBM tells us it's crazy. Because HR best practice is to just go through this thing to do the psychological evaluation, and there you go, the chef, the boss, approves this person. It's idiotic. It's absolutely idiotic. IBM has over 200, or no, sorry, HP has over 200 HR people here in Bulgaria. Doing what? Do they have any idea what goes on in the rest of the company? No. They have no idea. How the hell are they even qualified to hire somebody? They're not. End of the day, they're not. It's just bullshit. Sorry. It's just really stupid. But yes, there should be a democratic process, and why not? We're gonna get married, we're gonna work together, and I have to work with you and you and you and you. Why should I be your boss if you don't approve me? I gotta work with you for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years, 60% of our time. It's idiotic. There was somebody back here who had a question. Where was it? No, there we go.
Thank you. I first want to say that I really liked your speech. And I can also say that there are people we call dreamers. And I can admit I'm one of those dreamers. Okay, I believe that something like ideal world is after all possible if all people really work for the good. And my question is actually more related to those big corporations you mentioned about, like SAP, like HP, and the rest of them. Big corporations with so many people inside. How do you suggest they can change actually and do what you say? Because I see your idea more realistic when it's about creating a new company. For instance, these people, they are starting something, startup people. They start with 5-6 people and they're all free and they can schedule their time according to other activities they have as well. But what happens to those big companies like SAP, how it will change in the future? What do you recommend for them? So that they start innovate not by acquiring new companies, but by innovating more and more. Thanks.
Good question. Okay, first of all, I think it's dismal for them. It's going to be very difficult for them to change. Just like the oil and the automotive can't change because they're stuck in carburation and oil drilling. And this is how we should do the practice for telling people to buckle their seatbelts or put on their life vest or whatever in the airplane. Which is just, once again, how many people here remember those life vest videos in the airplane? What are you supposed to do first? Yeah, I've seen it like 500 times. Yeah, but do you remember how to put on the life vest, what to do first? Where to put the straps and what to pull and all that shit? No, because they're idiotic. Yeah, okay, so I actually think they're screwed in general. You know, Microsoft has, what, 25,000 employees for how many years to innovate and make Vista? Oh, God. And then, okay, maybe after Apple came out and kicked their ass a little bit to make Windows 7, and they did improve. But I honestly think, unless, like Steve Ballmer and these other big companies, SAP, I don't care, HP, give up the semblance of control, which is artificial anyway, they can't. They'll just have to keep acquiring, like Cisco did or Oracle, to get innovation. The best thing I think a large company should do is they have to break the control mechanisms down. They have to start allowing people to be adults and breaking things into small groups, like groups of 10, 15, or 20. I actually think this can scale if things are kept in small groups. So small groups that are responsible for delivering whatever it is. So if you're a line worker even in manufacturing, if you're a line worker and there's a group of 15 and responsible for making some part, I don't know, some chushki, some thing, that's fine. You get to learn that thing really well, and you're closest to the development and production of that thing. You're the most relevant person to ask when customers have problems or want changes, or if you see a better way to create it, but you don't have that freedom and liberty to do it. So if you could compartmentalize and get rid of a lot of these like corporate processes, just get rid of them. I mean, it's ridiculous. From intellectual property to corporate manuals, they're ridiculous. Like, I'm actually even a believer of just getting rid of IP in general. Just IP is idiotic. So from IP to corporate manuals to processes, let the individual groups that are running those projects create their own processes. You can't have standardized corporate-wide for 40, 50, 100,000 employees processes. One size does not fit all. One thing, which basically corporations, what? They create corporate manuals for the lowest level of employee, for the lowest level of intelligence. So they can hire somebody to come in who is basically an idiot who can follow the process and get the job done at a big company. This is what they do. They create process so stupid people can do the job. Frankly. And then basically, though, they've stupefied the process, so even smart people have to follow the stupid process. So this is the process. I'm a smart person. I know it's a stupid process. How many times have you been in a company where you know a project's going to fail because it's stupid? And you're sitting around at the boardroom going, am I the only one that thinks this is stupid? It's stupid. But yet, it's followed and it's done because that's the